We're going to share for a few moments the topic of non-injury, ahimsa. And let us first hear what Swami Kriyananda has to say on the topic from his book, Affirmations for Self-Healing. Swamiji says, non-injury is a fundamental rule in the spiritual life. It means primarily an attitude of mind. Outwardly, one cannot avoid doing a certain amount of injury. For example, to flying insects when driving one's car. The harm one does, however, by wishing harm to others, hurts not only them, but even more especially, it hurts oneself. Spiritually, a harmful attitude separates one from the harmony and oneness of life. Let me repeat that. A harmful attitude separates one from the harmony and oneness of life. Non-injury, on the other hand, embraces that oneness and is in turn sustained by it. Non-injury is sustained by oneness. Non-injury is a powerful tool for victory, for it enlists cooperation from the very universe, where harmfulness incites endless opposition. Now let's look at this a little more deeply. We're talking about in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, one of the controls, one of the yamas is ahimsa, non-injury. And the yamas and the niyamas of Patanjali are guidelines for life for everyone, but especially for those who are seeking a spiritual life. And so we should look at this particularly carefully in that light. What will help or what will hinder our spiritual growth? Because one becomes more selective once we choose to be on a spiritual path. We become more discriminating. We introspect a little bit more, and we become more careful about how we act, because by acting carelessly, we can produce injury, we can produce discord, whereas when we act consciously in harmony, we are the ones who are benefited. We become part of that harmony, that universal oneness that brings us to our higher self. And this is the direction that we all want. Guruji Yoganandaji uses the example of your gas cooking stove, that there are many little flames, little jets on the burner, but all of these little individual flames come from one source. It's really one pilot light, one larger flame that feeds all of them. And so it is, we may seem like we're an individual, separate from others, but no, it's the same underlying flame that lights all of our hearts. And the more that we can see all of life as one, and that we are part of all of that life, the more that we can reach our goal of union, of moksha, of union of the little self with the greater self. Yogananda ji also uses the example of the ocean, that we're just one little drop in that ocean, or we're one wave in the ocean, and we can choose to push that wave up away from the bosom of the ocean to affirm our separateness, our ego, or we can choose to merge into the bosom of the ocean, to affirm our oneness with God, our oneness with all of life, with all of humanity. And it's in this way that if I were to hurt you, I hurt myself. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor just as much as you love yourself. Love your neighbor ultimately because he is yourself, because we are part of that same one ocean. And any negativity that we put out into that ocean, it reverberates and it comes back to us. It boomerangs back to us in some way or another. And so we can never escape that boomerang of karma. The negativity, the hurt that we put out always comes back to us. And certainly, one can say that ahimsa is non-killing in a literal sense, but also in much more subtle ways. It means not having hurtful thoughts towards others, not have critical thoughts towards others, not be judgmental towards others or wish them harm in any way, because it always comes back to us. And even more important than the act is the intention, the attitude. Once Yogananda ji was in his guru's ashram, and there was a mosquito and digging into the flesh of Yogananda ji, and instinctively he raised his hand to slap the mosquito, and then he remembered the principle of ahimsa, and he stopped himself. And his guru said, "Why did you stop? Why not finish the job?" Because he said, your intention was to harm. That was the seed. That was where the harmfulness begins, is in our mental attitude. An attitude of separation, of defensiveness. We're trying to protect ourselves by lashing out at someone else in criticism, in negative thought. And so if we feel any sense of difference with someone else, maybe an argument, maybe a difference of opinion, before you sit for meditation, before you go to bed at night, send your love to that person. Ask God to bless that person. Sometimes someone has hurt us very deeply, and it's hard in that moment to bring ourselves to forgive them, to give our love. In that case, pray. Pray for the power to be able to give, and ask God for Him to forgive that person. And pray for the power to feel love for all creatures, for all mankind, to for everyone who may have ever hurt you. Ask God for the power to pray for that person, to forgive that person, to send love and blessings to that person. Otherwise, if you sit to meditate, there will always be part of your mind that is in tension. And to have peace before we meditate, we need to make peace in our own heart. And then we can achieve that true oneness, which is referred to. Now let us repeat together the affirmation that Swamiji has given us for non-injury. And let's repeat this together in a loud voice. Please repeat after me. I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts that have known only hate. I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts that have known only hate. Now in a whisper, I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts that have known only hate. Now mentally only, repeat this affirmation in the superconscious mind. I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts that have known only hate. I send out the rain of blessings to all. That love be nourished in hearts that have known only hate. Let's now pray mentally. Divine Mother, when others seek to hurt me, give me the wisdom to see that victory lies in blessing them, not in revenge. If I respond with anger, the loss will be mine, even if mine is also the outward victory. For inwardly I will have been hurt indeed. But if I return blessings for their blows, I shall remain ever safe within the impregnable walls of my inner peace. If I return blessings for their blows, I shall remain ever safe within the impregnable walls of my inner peace. Swamiji would say many times, don't let anything disturb your inner peace. He said, make that your bottom line, that nothing you do disturb your inner peace. And don't let anything that happens to you disturb your inner peace. The greatest gift we have to preserve, to nourish, to encourage is this inner peace. We need to cultivate this peace more and more and protect it from anything that's happening around us, anything, any negativity that is happening in our mind. As Swamiji says here, when we receive blows, when we receive hurt, respond in return with blessings, with love. Even if you can't express it outwardly, in your heart, bless the source of that of that hurt, of that pain. Pray for the power and ask God to bless those people who you have difficulty in blessing, that you have difficulty in understanding and accepting. Thank you so much.